I'm saying we should be concerned there's a nefarious element here where there's some strategery to keep America sick to maximize profits. Welcome to the Olive Branch, the podcast where two siblings from a small southern town in the heart of the Bible Belt, the Rocket City, Huntsville, Alabama, attempt to bridge the gap between left and right America.
Or avoid strangling each other while trying. I'm Audra. I'm your left-wing host. I'm a wife, intentionally childless, liberal, atheist, socialist, communist.
Good grief.
I'm unemployed, but a caretaker for our mother.
Yeah, yes, you are, and thank you. And I'm Eric, your right-wing host, a husband, a father, conservative, born-again Christian, and proud engine nerd with multiple engineering degrees. I've spent over 2 decades leading adult Sunday school, missional communities, life groups, small groups, connecting people to God, teaching from God's holy word.
And I've spent over 2 decades as a dungeon master, guiding heroes through a mythical realm of Dungeons and Dragons. And I have numerous credit hours at a local community college.
Hey, that counts. All right, so between the preacher and the heathen,
the Bible and the battle map,
we've got absolutely no qualifications to be sharing political opinions with the masses.
But we're going to do it anyway.
Come on, let's do this already.
Woohoo!
All right. Hey, I wanted to start out this episode with to recalibrate with our agenda. What are we doing here? If you're new to the show, you definitely don't know. If you've seen the intro, you probably forgot. We forgot. Here's the deal. We want to talk about complex political issues without demonizing our opponents. We want to speak truth in love. We want to connect. We want to respect. We want to have a healthy dynamic of communication. And we want to practice that because that helps us be a better version of ourselves. And we also want to illustrate that and encourage others to follow suit. So as we do that, as we talk about these complex issues, one, like we said, we're not qualified. We all we have is opinions, and opinions are like feet. Everybody's got a couple, and most of them stink. So we're not experts in any field. We're not here to sell each other per se or you. We want to practice good communication, which is not just articulating our opinion, it's using our ears to listen and put thought and consideration to where they're coming from. So that's what we want to do. So let's do that. So we talked before the show, that's what we want to, that's the premise of the whole show. So one thing that we want to do is when we realize that the other side of the aisle has a legitimate point, you know what? Let's stop and acknowledge that. Let's concede and go, hey, when you said this, you're 85% wrong, definitely. But that 15%, I like that. I like that a lot. I think that's pretty good. We can practice that, and then that'll grease the skids and loosen things up so we can start to respect other people. I've heard this. Jordan Peterson says this. It's an excellent understanding. If you want to gain ground in a debate, step one is to listen and understand, and then repeat it back. See if you can repeat back their position better than they presented it. If you do that, they will think, wow, they heard me. I'm impressed. They actually heard me and they understand, and it sounds like they get it. But they're not saying they agree, but they get it.
Yeah.
I don't have to keep echoing myself. I don't have to keep repeating myself. I can shut up and I can listen now. So let's try to do that. So we're going to try to offer an olive branch when we can see that the other side of the aisle has a legitimate point that we should acknowledge and appreciate, and we're going to do that.
Something I want to say on the record, we are not medical professionals. We are not health experts. We are not dietitians or anything. He has engineering degrees, nothing about the human body. So today when we talk about MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, this is just us talking about things that we have found on the internet and explaining our knee-jerk opinion and listening to the other person and going back and forth.
True, and very true.
Not advice.
So I'm not a doctor, but definitely not a medical doctor, but I do have a body. And I have been taking care of one for 51 years. Actually, I've only been taking care of it for probably
12.
Maybe 12. The rest has been total abandonment.
I haven't started that phase of my life yet.
It'll creep up on you.
Ride it till the wheels fall off.
Oh, the body will start, just wake up one morning and you're like, hey, how come this doesn't work? And it says, yeah, we shut that down yesterday.
Yeah, it's like, what's wrong with you? Oh, my back hurts because I sneezed funny too early in the morning.
Yeah, when you start communicating injuries from sleep, you've gotten old. And I'm old. So
something I wanted to say, we don't have homework because we did Wicked last week, but something I wanted to say in regards to comments and messages I saw online. One of the main ones that I see that drives me crazy because I don't know how they're getting some information and not the others is, it's mostly on TikTok. TikTok's a dumpster fire, but I love it. TikTok will have people who know I'm on the left and Eric's on the right. They'll know the dynamic there, but for some reason they assume we're married, and they'll be like, girl, blink twice if you need help. And I'm like, it's my brother. I promise you it's not my husband. But people are like, so if you guys have kids, y'all would have this opinion. And it's like, gosh. No, we're not doing it. I know we're in Alabama, but that's not, it's a falsehood.
Oh, you just stole my line. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah. So, siblings.
Yeah.
Siblings.
Yeah. Brother and sister, homie don't play that.
Yeah, that's not true for all Alabamians.
What are we talking about today?
Today we got a bunch of clips that we're going to go through and kind of just talk about different clips of the MAHA movement and things that Eric has found to show me.
Yeah.
The few things that I found that when I was looking up before we get to the clips.
Hey, so before you start throwing darts, should I share like my agenda of what I wanted to focus on?
If you want to.
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh my
See
gosh.
how I just cut right in front of her? Yeah, that's how you do it. You do it politely. But so RFK Jr., to me, he's a godsend. He's a blessing. I love his conviction and heart. I actually found a video that kind of shows his conviction and heart. But I want to talk about how he's wanting to address the food industry and make it healthy food, like real food, and not just a bunch of chemicals and a bunch of stuff that is actually putting a toxic toll on our bodies. But stuff like seed oils and food dyes and fluoride and bread, and how he's doing like an agency reform. So with the CDC, the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, Center of Disease Control, all this is under the Health and Human Services. So he's doing a great thing. So let's dig into it. But what do you got?
The things when I researched about RFK and just things that he said that I either agree or disagree with. One of them is that autism is linked to vaccines. It's 100% not. There's been so many studies and so many tests. The main correlation that people have determined is signs of autism start showing about the same time you have to start getting your vaccines and stuff for school. So in between ages 3 and 5 is when you start seeing a little bit of signs. So typically by the time you're going into school, you've had all your vaccines. So that's why people are like, oh, well, after the vaccine, that's when something happened. But that's been proven to be correlation, not causation. And the entire rumor that vaccines were correlated to or may cause autism was literally someone trying to sell his better, newer vaccines, and it was a snake oil salesman in like the 80s.
So I got a clarification. So his position isn't that he is saying that vaccines cause autism. He's saying that the advertisement that the Health and Human Services or the CDC has been advertising, that it's not linked, that it's proven clear of the cause, that's not true. And that's what the clarification that he's trying to point out. You can't say that it does not cause it. You don't know what causes it. Nobody knows what causes autism.
It's mostly genetics.
that's a theory. It's not proven, and that's his whole point. Nobody knows what causes it.
But they've done tests, and there is no link to.
There's no known link of causation.
Correct.
And that's what he's trying to say. So you can't say that vaccines do not cause it. We don't know that. They have not done a study to prove that vaccines are not the cause. They have not done that.
They've done studies for vaccines and autism, and there is no link.
No. Do we need to pause and do a little fact finding?
One moment. So, upon further review, just the default AI overview of all the articles, decades of extensive and rigorous scientific studies, including large-scale meta-analysis, constantly show no causal link between vaccines or their ingredients like thimerosal and autism. The idea of vaccines stems from an article that was published in 1998, The Lancet, and it was fully redacted, and the author lost their medical license.
Okay, so the CDC, Center of Disease Control, they updated their website 7 days ago. So they updated it on November 19th, 2025, depending on what year and century you're watching this video. That's probably important. But the key points of the update, the claim vaccines do not cause autism is not evidence-based. It's not an evidence-based claim because studies have not ruled out the possibility that infant vaccines cause autism. Studies supporting a link have been ignored by health authorities. Health and Human Services has launched a comprehensive assessment of the causes of autism, including investigations on plausible biologic mechanisms and potential causal links. So that's the official position of the CDC.
And they just updated that?
7 days ago. So there you have it. So it sounds like there's a lot of people in the health community are at odds. Not everybody's on the same page. We live in a day and age where depending on what website you look up, it's going to give you different information. So that's the madness that we have to deal with. But the good thing is, to me, they're looking at it, trying to find the cause. They're actively trying to find the cause. So I'm hopeful about that.
Yeah, and worst case scenario, they know it doesn't by researching this even deeper.
Yeah, exactly.
And if they find something that does, they can change what they're up to.
Yeah, sure.
The other thing is his beef with fluoride. Fluoride doesn't cause bone cancer or arthritis. Not like the studies that have come out that show there is a link between that. Mm-hmm. The amount you have to take of fluoride is so insane that we don't get it in our drinking water. That's not an option.
Yeah, I can't believe you're throwing darts before you even saw all these reels and become a great fan of RFK. Why are you a hater? Can't we just love it, everybody? No, I'll tell you what my 2 cents on fluoride. So one, the main thing that I don't like is they're putting it in the drinking water. And my understanding is fluoride is only beneficial. It does help with teeth decay. It's supposed to actually help, but it's more of a topical treatment, like just coming on the surface of your teeth. It's not like the fluoride is some nutrient that your body absorbs and then you have healthy teeth. That's not the case. Fluoride is known as a neurotoxin. Essentially, it's affecting your mind. I've heard that it can actually take a hit to your IQ and your mental capacity. So I've obviously been drinking too much water because I can't even remember what day it is. So, and they have it in different places. They have it in toothpaste and mouthwash. That's probably sufficient for this day and age. Everybody has not everybody, but most people have toothbrushes. Most people have oral hygiene. To have it in your drinking water in this day and age, I think is it's OBE. It's overcome by events. That's something that we shouldn't do because the detrimental effects it has as a neurotoxin. Just don't do that. It seems stupid to me. So my hope is he bans fluoride from being in our drinking water. That's my hope.
And I will say, I also don't think the neurotoxin effect can be reached with the amount that's in the drinking water. Like, it has to be a very severe amount.
Yeah.
But there are people with different physiologies that have higher susceptibility to certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So if it takes somebody and pushes them a little bit further into something negative, and
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to hit that point. Don't let me interrupt you though. I got a dump.
I was just gonna say, so now that we can have fluoride in other means without it being in the drinking water, if there is signs that could exacerbate some conditions for some people, I'm okay with taking it out of the drinking water.
Yeah. So I used to be so ignorant on nutrition and health. Back in the day, I used to think I didn't know anything about nutrition. I was so ignorant. And I'm talking about as an educated man in my 30s. I just thought a calorie was a calorie. A calorie is a measure of energy. That's what you need to consume to live and exercise and to function. And really not knowing the difference between a donut and a banana. Just not understanding there's vitamins, there's minerals, there's antioxidants, there's things that's nutrition, like literal nutrition that your body needs to function. And then, but there's also on the other side of the element, there's toxins. There's things that are toxic that take a toll. And, like our liver filters out a lot of toxins in our body. And in this day and age, we're exposing ourselves to so much toxicity and we don't even know it. Mm-hmm. And, it's in our food, and that's what we're going to talk about today with some of the food elements and the food dyes and the preservatives and the pesticides that we're consuming. But then we're also exposing yourself to stuff like detergent and, hairspray and deodorant, and just that's coming into our bodies that takes a toxic load. We take prescription medication. Anybody take prescription medication? Yeah, all that is it's exhausting your liver. Over-the-counter drugs, same thing. It takes a toll. Mm-hmm. You've probably heard that with Tylenol and ibuprofen and how that takes a toll on your liver. So I think the more, or the lack of nutrition plus toxicity, that's what's going to equal disease. And that's why we have so much chronic ailments this day and age. And just ramping up on that, as I've learned all that, what I've tried to do is maximize my nutrition and minimize my toxicity level. And like in this, I stopped taking, I started buying the little bit more expensive toothpaste, fluoride-free toothpaste. But I've actually got a whole measure of little changes to minimize my toxicity load. And my health has, I'm not like 1,000 times better than I used to be like 2 years ago. Oh my gosh. Yeah. But that's a whole nother episode. So let's keep trucking. Let's go.
Two of the things that I do agree with RFK on, which I had to look into, is some of the food dyes that the United States uses do cause negative effects. And I was not aware of that. I thought the reason other countries didn't allow food dyes was because of advertisement purposes. They don't want to make stuff look better than it is supposed to. Like, no, just have natural fruits. You don't have to make a redder apple. You don't have to make brighter yellow corn. Just have the white corn, have the pasty apple, and know that it's a natural fruit. So I thought that was the reason why other countries had avoided a lot of food dyes. But there are like a few, especially the petroleum ones in the United States, that do cause some negative effects.
Yeah. Wow. Look at you. We're learning stuff. We're getting smarter every day.
Yeah. And I like that he's going to look into chronic disease research.
Man, me too. Do you know anybody with chronic disease?
I don't know what all counts as a chronic disease.
Something that is ongoing. You will never get better. Take this medication. It will ease some symptoms, but you will always have this. That's what the doctor says. that's a chronic ailment.
I wonder how much of that was not diagnostically testable back in the day. Let's watch some of the videos, and when they get to that, we'll throw it in.
Let's do it. What do you got?
All right, we're going to go into some reels.
Let's do it.
And the first one is just an image to get us started.
Oh, yeah. I saw this on the internet. It's hilarious. All right, so RFK Jr. there. How old is he? Do you know how old he is? But look at him. He's a beast. I have a man crush already. I don't even think like that. But
He's 71 years old.
Man, look at that guy. And this is under the Biden Health Department. This is not the secretary of HHS. This is was it the deputy secretary?
Yeah, it was one of the subordinates under the top position.
Yeah, but it looks like a overweight trans somebody that does not need to be on top of be leading the way for us to be healthy, in my opinion.
And what I said when we talked about this the first time was, I did fact check that as someone from Biden's health department, that is RFK, apparently, when he was running for president, he did exercise routines online.
Oh, he still does it?
Yeah, well, he did it online, and that's where
okay.
that clip's from.
Yeah.
But I don't think you have to be an expert to be the manager of something. As a matter of fact, most people who are really good at their job, when they get promoted to another position to where they are supervising other people, they end up hating their job and they're worse at being a manager. It's a different skill set to manage information in a department. So as long as you're able to find the right people and find the scientists and find the people that do the studies and keep them on task, I don't think you yourself have to be an expert, which is one of the benefits I give RFK Jr. because he said some stuff that's a little... He gets flacked for because it's a little nutty, but I don't think he has to know all the science. He just has to do a good job at corralling all the science.
Okay. No, so one, keeping it real, I think it's a very valid point. 2 points, though, or 2 counterpoints. One, this takes me back to our Trump derangement syndrome conversation. And what if I applied that to Trump? Hey, he doesn't have to be have the morality of a local priest or a pastor of a church. But maybe he's a good manager.
He's a very bad judge of character. I could make an entire hour episode of clips of him saying, "This is the best person. I love them. They're amazing. This is the worst person. They're trash. I can't believe you guys ever let me work with them." Like, he's done that every 6 months. He is breaking up with someone that used to be flawless. And now he's throwing them under the bus. I could make an entire hour video of that.
Hey, you fired. That would actually be an interesting episode. We need to do that. But I will say this. Yeah, I do think... you should be cautious to judge a book by its cover. Mm-hmm. So I totally get that. But at the same time, if you go to a physical trainer, if you went to the gym and you wanted a bodybuilder, if this were your options, surely anybody would say, I think I want the guy on the right to do that.
Yeah, if you wanted a bodybuilder. If you wanted cancer treatment.
Yeah.
You would be asking, what studies have you done? What have you looked into?
Yeah.
So.
Well, and just.
But this is a managerial position.
Got you. Now, just keeping it real. If I'm trying to represent the right would probably look at this and go, we're talking about health, so it's not just limited to physical health. It's mental health, and the person on the left looks like they are.
A human.
They're a human being that's struggling mentally.
I don't see that as a struggle.
Okay. Well.
Transitioning is actually the capacity to get past the struggle.
Okay.
And we can do a topic about
that. We can have a whole nother discussion on transgender, the transgender debacle in America. But the right will see that as gender dysphoria, which is a mental illness. So, but we can table that and talk more about that. What's the next reel?
The next one we have.
I want to say this while I'm on the record, while I'm under oath.
Pause. Okay. I just wanted to say this is a great video, and I picked it because it kind of shows his passion. It shows his conviction. It shows he talks a little bit about his efforts to just help America with health. And I want to tackle somebody. I may tackle you after I watch this, just because it's so inspiring.
I don't do the sports.
You don't do the sports? You don't do the sports ball? We don't even have to have a ball. We can just tackle each other.
I'd rather not.
All right.
Start those rumors.
Hit
again.
play. Go.
I've never been any vaccine, but everybody in this room probably believes that I have been, because that's the prevailing narrative. I believe vaccines should be tested with the same rigor as other medicines and medication. And my views are constantly misrepresented. I spent 30 years trying to get mercury out of the fish in this country, and nobody ever called me anti-fish.
Pause. That's pretty good. Nobody's ever called me anti-fish. Man, that's the best line.
I'm anti-fish, but
You're anti-fish?
I just don't like the taste.
Oh my gosh. I know your husband is...
He eats fish.
He eats your fish.
Yeah, I cook fish all the time for him.
Oh, you love him.
I do.
Okay.
I'm a fan.
Play.
Back to the video.
Okay.
We were trying to get mercury out of vaccines. Mothers were coming and saying, my child was injured by the vaccine. And they said, nobody's listening to us. And I felt like I should listen to them and actually read the science. And that is what got me down into the time. And by the way...
Pause. So if you're not familiar with that, there's all kinds of videos of RFK trying to... They're coming up to him, pleading for him, hey, research this. And these are moms of kids with autism. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows how their kid got autism.
Yeah.
And they're hurting. They're crying. They're like, help me. Let's figure this out.
One of the higher causation correlation things that I've heard about autism, of the extremes of it, which people have had autism throughout the decades. They just would go to an insane asylum back when that was a thing. Now we don't have that health care. Both parents are working. There isn't a mom at home 24 hours a day with their kid. So now when the kid is struggling, it's a huge burden on a 2-income household. That before, suck it up, Susan.
That's so interesting.
But one of the causation correlation things is technology.
Yeah.
And having a tablet in somebody's face and then all that stimulation and never having the downtime may activate parts of the brain that are more inclined to be autistic.
Yeah. So, correlation, causation, comparison, whatever. I've heard of many comparisons of the medical status of people in what's the group that stay out of the world?
Are you talking about
Amish? The dang Amish. Who's got totally blank. I forget the Amish. It makes me mad. All right, the Amish, they don't do what the world does. They do things totally different. They cook their own food. They don't go to the doctor. They have their own ways to do medicine and using natural remedies. But they definitely don't do vaccines, is my point. And then some people look at them, and the Amish, they have like no record of autism.
I don't know what records they do have.
Touche, that's a good point.
And I don't know if they don't consider it autism. They might. And I don't know the Amish. I've never really known any Amish person. So this is high level speculation. I don't know if they would say, oh, Jeffrey got a demon. Mm-hmm. He's possessed by a demon and throwing fits. as
Yeah.
opposed to having sensory overload for a fabric being messy.
Well, true, but you don't have to be Amish to believe in demonic activity. I'm a Christian, and Christians believe in Satan, the presence of Satan, and the demonic world, and spiritual warfare. But that's another show that we can cover.
I don't.
Okay. All right, hit play.
The worst career decision I have ever made. We have to stop trying to destroy each other, to marginalize, to vilify, to gaslight each other. We have to find that place inside ourselves of light, of empathy, of compassion, and above all, we need to elevate the Constitution of the United States, which was written for hard times. And that has to be the premier compass for all of our activities. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Man, so love him. Love this guy. I mean, you hear his heart. He just wants people to be healthy. And he says, it's not Democratic kids and Republican kids. It's our dang kids.
Let me say something real quick.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I do think he is personally, sincerely led to try to help people and try to find out what the problems are, because he has the lifestyle and the resources to where he can take on personal pursuits and run for an office, So kudos to him for that. And something else I wanted to say about me not believing in demons is I know I'll watch different debate talk shows and things like that, and YouTube videos of people talking about different sides of politics, different sides of religion. And something that I see a lot, especially with the religion ones, if it's religious focused, is they constantly give pushback of, well, you have to take out the consideration that's not real. So you basically have to continue this argument with an arm tied behind your back of everything you believe. And I have a belief that I can't talk to Eric that way, because then he's not really talking to me. He's dancing around something that he wants to talk about, that he does believe in. And that's not fair. And until I know the full scope of his position and all the context in which he makes his opinions on, I can't really have a good discussion with him anyways.
Well, so kudos to you for being considerate, thoughtful, and loving and caring in your conversation. It's good.
Even though I think it's silly.
and I totally get that.
Yeah.
I totally get that. If you're a professing atheist, that means by definition you don't believe in God, or you've considered it and you've concluded there is no God. If you don't believe in God, why in the world would you believe in the devil or Satan or demons? So that makes total sense from that point of view. I get that.
I just saw a big bird shadow, and I get worried for your chickens. Sorry.
It's okay. God will protect my chickens and my dogs. I got dogs out there.
I don't think he intervenes.
No, he does. Oh. It's in Leviticus.
Because you're a good Christian?
No, because he loves chickens. Because they're scaredy cats. No, I will say this. We don't have to have the whole demonic topic today. But in the movie The Usual Suspects, there's a great line. And it's this.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was making the world believe he didn't exist.
Was convincing the world that he didn't exist. Because if he can convince you he doesn't exist, then you don't have to resist him.
Do you want to know a funny thing our brother told me? I was probably 14 and he was 16. He said that an argument he had recently heard that he started thinking about that he couldn't get out of his head was, what if Satan came to earth as Jesus? And now people aren't going and praising God directly. You have to praise through me. I'm the only way. And hey, God, just let me go. I'll do some parlor tricks, and I can get all of your followers to drop you like a wet dog. And ever since he said that, sometimes I think about the greatest thing the devil proved he didn't exist. Whenever I hear that phrase, I'm like, he convinced everyone he was Jesus.
That is a very interesting, deep thought. That is indeed.
Yeah.
But as Scripture says, we should make our calling and election sure. We should definitely consider our relationship with God very seriously and sacredly. So that's something to pursue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just weird tangents. We can go to the next video.
All right, what you got?
All right, next one is about tartrazine.
This is what most Americans innocently put into their bodies these days, and most alarmingly, into the bodies of their children. And it's no coincidence that Americans die earlier than Canadians or Germans or Italians or Japanese or Koreans or...
Two things real quick. One, when I was looking at this video to make it for the filming, I got Doritos out because I saw Doritos on the thing. And I was like, you know what? I haven't had breakfast. Spicy nachos, good breakfast. Also, and let me see if I can just move us for a second. These countries, I think all of them except for us have universal health care provided by the government.
Okay. Well, one of my comments on this is going to be, you see how much we're spending there.
Mm-hmm.
This is per capita. So,
and our results are shit.
Exactly. More than double second place. And then we are, it's just horrible. I feel like people think, oh, look how expensive it is because we're spending trillions of dollars every year. It's like
we're wasting trillions of dollars on administration, and they have so much CEO payouts of the healthcare companies and big pharma, and so
just to clarify, when you say administration, you're talking about the health industry, not the Republican Party or Democratic Party.
Correct. Administration in the health industry.
Yes. So it's not a party thing. It's just America. Our healthcare system sucks. We are paying premium. We are paying Ruth Chris Steakhouse prices for a 1980s stick. Remember in the 80s when you go to the gas station, you could buy a little packet of baseball cards. You get like 3 no-name baseball player cards and then a very chalky, dry stick of gum. We're paying Ruth Chris Steakhouse prices for that and calling that healthcare. It's garbage. We don't need to find universal healthcare as the solution. We need to fix something. We need to find the root cause. What is causing all this mess? And why is things just amplifying? What?
Money in healthcare is causing this, and people making profit and being able to lobby politicians so that they can make more profit for something that they know is always going to have a market. So if we got the money out of healthcare by making it universal healthcare where the government pays what they want to pay, they hire the only person that's getting hired and they can negotiate the prices because they're the only game in town. Whereas now you have 5 insurance companies and they're all rubbing elbows and giving each other golden parachute packets.
Well, so my issue is this chronic illness and cancer. But
if nobody's making money off the chronic illness, it'll go down.
Exactly, but by definition, they will always make money because the way they treat chronic ailments and illnesses is by prescription medication for life.
If the government would lose money on that, then they would start promoting healthier dietary and exercise activities in younger people. They would regulate the food and keep the crap out of the food to make it to where we have less.
I think that's where we're going. Let's keep going.
So we both agree universal health care. Got it.
No.
I heard you.
Australians or most any other comparable country. And it wasn't always that way. Until the early 1990s, our life expectancy was the same or better than other developed countries. Then, suddenly, more and more Americans began suffering from chronic diseases, from obesity, cancer, diabetes, kidney disease, Alzheimer's, heart disease, and all kinds of autoimmune diseases. Our maternal mortality rate.
I'm curious about, he said the 90s specifically. I'm curious about if that was a huge spike in the 90s for some reason, or if some of those were in the 90s, some got a little bit higher in the 70s. And that's also a thing, like autism is at a higher rate of diagnosability, but it's also way better understood and understood by the public and the medical community. So it's a higher chance of getting asked to be diagnosed and to get a diagnosis that's accurate. Whereas before, girls couldn't even get diagnosed with ADHD for the longest time.
Yeah. I do want to know what shifted in the 90s per se to cause that change in trajectory. But we got a lot of videos to get through, so
Yeah.
we're good. Let's go.
Soared to the highest of any developed country on earth. Same with infant mortality. Like the frog in the slowly boiling water, we didn't really notice as we got sicker and sicker. We've grown now to accept chronic disease conditions as normal. But now, in 2024, we're finally waking up to this cataclysm and we're asking ourselves, how in the world did this happen? Well, a big part of it is our diet. Restaurants that serve contaminated food are fined or shut down. But when it's the government that approves the poisons in our food, a few people get very, very rich, and the toxins end up in every supermarket aisle. Let me show you what I mean. Doritos, Cheez-Its, Captain Crunch, gummy bears. Everyone knows that these are junk foods, so maybe you wouldn't be too...
Hey, so just a quick takeaway. My rule of thumb: if it's in the center of the grocery store, it's garbage. If it's in a box or a bag, it's probably garbage. If it's on the perimeter, if it's Whole Foods, essentially this is my rule of thumb: if God made it, it's probably pretty dang good. If man made it, it's suspect. Look at the ingredients. If there's a long list of ingredients that you can't even pronounce and you definitely don't know what it is, it's the way I tell myself, that's poison. You tell yourself whatever you want. But if it's got a few ingredients that you know, hey, potatoes, sea salt, avocado oil, that's probably good. And we'll talk about seed oils in a minute. Avocado oil is pretty good. All right, go.
Surprised to see that the ingredients include a lot of poisons, including a harmful yellow dye called tetrazine, or yellow dye number 5. What you may not know is that this dye was originally made out of the sludge that's left over when you turn coal into coke for blast furnaces. It's called coal tar, and I've actually sued many big industries for legacy contamination of coal tar all around the country because it's so toxic and it's so...
Now, a lot of people don't know this about his background, but he's an attorney, and that's what he did. Is he would pretty much sue big pharma, different people for toxicity and all this. That's why he's so knowledgeable, and that's why he has so much passion. Is because he's seen the damage, and so he's been doing this for decades. This is right in his bailiwick.
Harmful to the environment and human beings. A century ago, it was just an obnoxious industrial byproduct that everybody was trying to figure out ways to get rid of. One of the ways that they did that was by paving roads. But then a British chemist figured out that the coal tar could be used to derive fabric dye. And if fabric dye, why not food? Food manufacturers began using it to cover up the discoloration of low-quality foods that they wanted to pass off on unsuspecting.
Have you seen the new Doritos and stuff they have out in the United States? They're pasty.
They're pasty?
Yeah, and then they try to describe the cheese as a better version of cheese. that is supposed to be pasty because we're used to like bright nacho.
Yes. All right. So they're actually changing, I guess, the ingredients.
They're doing a trial run to see how to market it.
But they're spinning it as better flavor, which is what most people care about.
It's not a better flavor. It's fine, but it's not addictive.
Yeah.
It's not see a video at 8 a.m. and think, let me pop a Dorito.
Go.
Expecting customers. They didn't know back then that this yellow dye, tartrazine, causes tumors, asthma, developmental delays, neurological damage, ADD, ADHD, hormone disruption, gene damage, anxiety, depression, intestinal injuries. Well, we know it now. We've known this for decades. That's why tartrazine is heavily restricted in other countries. In some countries, foods with tartrazine have a warning label that it may cause ADHD in children. Today, it's made from petroleum, not coal tar. Either way, it's crazy to add this to your kid's favorite foods. It doesn't even change the flavor. This yellow dye isn't just in junk food. It's in the foods that we consider healthy. It's in everyday kid snacks like popcorn, mac and cheese, fruit snacks. It's in sports drinks like Gatorade and so-called vitamin water. It's even added to chicken broth, to corn, to pickles, to mustard, and to yogurt. And so, of course, our kids get...
So I'm sitting here thinking, if it's illegal in other countries, why in the world is it allowed in the United States? And the only thing I can think is food lobbyists come in and they wine and dine the people at the CDC or FDA and the Health and Human Services and say, hey.
And politicians who can mandate what those people can and can't do.
These aren't the droids you're looking for. Go to Ruth Chris Steakhouse and let me poison America. Play.
Sick. And we lovingly feed them chewable vitamins which have, surprise, tartrazine. And so the cycle continues until the coughs and asthma kick in, at which point you go to pick up some cough syrup. And yeah, you guessed it, tartrazine. I've been picking on tartrazine today, but that's just one of at least 100 chemical poisons that our health agencies allow into our children's food. I can make a video just like this to talk about Red 40, BHA, BHD, potassium bromate, chemical after chemical, and on and on and on. If just one of them can cause all of these problems, imagine what they're doing in combination. That's never been studied. If we took all of these chemicals out, our nation would get healthier immediately.
He made a good point there. I think the studies, and I don't know this, somebody that knows this, comment. Go look up the studies. I'm busy. I don't have time to do all this. But I think what he's saying is, on a study, hey, we're going to look at something other, tartrazine or bromate or whatever. They say, is this too toxic for the human body? They're looking at just that little sliver. They're not thinking of everything I said before with the whole toxic load, with all your medications, all your over-the-counter drugs, all your alcohol, all your exposure to detergent and to your crazy perfume, all the things.
I will say, to my knowledge, the way most studies run is they get a mouse and they inject the crap out of that mouse and give it cancer. And then they inject it with a little bit less and see if it still gets cancer.
That sounds mean.
It's very mean. I couldn't do it. I am a bleeding-hearted liberal. I would never. But they do that. And then once they figure out the threshold for mice, they have the math equation because mice metabolism and stuff is very similar to humans for some reason. And then they'll do human studies. And the human studies is, hey, take this group, take the placebo effect. And in theory, if you're out there eating Doritos and taking your blood pressure medicine and your tartrazine pill, then it is determining if you're still having negative side effects.
Well, that sounds okay, but if you say you had 30 participants in the study.
They'd say that's not a good study.
Well, okay.
But yeah, go ahead.
Whatever you want to do. 100. My point is that all the participants, if they're not measuring the toxic load to see, hey, when we add this toxic load, what is the new cumulative toxic load? Then we're not getting a good example, and that's what I think the problem is. He said we need to. He just said there's 100 chemicals that do detrimental damage, just like this tartrazine or however you say it. Man, cumulatively, it's probably bad. And you know where the results are? Look at the chronic ailments in America. I mean, anyway, let's go.
We'd have fewer sick days. We'd have better focus. We'd have less anxiety. Our kids would learn more easily. We'd lose weight. We'd have more energy. We'd have fewer tumors and longer lives. It's not all dark. Over the past 16 years, the government has banned 8 chemical additives that cause cancer, genetic damage, asthma, and many of the other health conditions, as tartrazine does. And you know what's interesting? All 8 of those crucial steps forward in our kids' health were taken under President Trump. But the Democrats who claim to be all about health care have stood by watching other countries ban these poisons and make our kids sick, asthmatic, hyperactive, and depressed. They left them on every supermarket shelf in America. They even used your tax money to put them in your kids' school lunch. So their big food and their big ag donors probably gave them all that golden handshake and the big money hug. And their big pharma donors probably called them up and thanked them also, because now they're going to make billions selling Adderall, Prozac, and rescue inhalers. Enough is enough. President Trump and I are going to stop the mass poisoning of American children together.
So, if you didn't catch that, he's saying that he believes Big Pharma is working with these food industry, and the food industry has toxic elements that they are concerned are causing things like ADHD, you name all the things. Well, Big Pharma's like, well, let us support you in that endeavor, because if that perpetuates this chronic ailment, we have a pill for that, and that helps us. Let's kind of join forces to make this machine run. Mm-hmm. That, if that is true, which it sounds like it is, how horrible is that?
The food industry makes their stuff as cheaply as possible and as addictive as possible. So they give it the highest salt, highest sugar reactivity in your mouth, whether it's with fake sugars and fake salts and stuff. But they get the highest reactivity for it in your mouth. And with the cheapest way to have the pesticides and use the same dirt and not have the richest vegetables for whatever they're making, then they add the coloring back in regardless to make it appealing so that people buy it, because it's easier to make a bright crop than a healthy crop that's naturally bright.
So it's right.
And then pharma is benefiting off that. I don't know how much they talk to each other, but
well, exactly.
You're
talking about the natural process or mindset to manufacture food. Got it. I'm saying we should be concerned. There's a nefarious element here where there's some strategery to keep America sick to maximize profits in the medical world.
I think definitely Big Pharma. And contrary to the messaging of this video, they have to go on both sides of the aisle, because you have to have a majority, which is over 50%, over half of. So you have to get a good chunk of both sides of the aisle to keep things in play. So it's not just the Democrats that are getting lobbied by Big Pharma and food. It's everybody.
Play.
We're going to make America healthy again.
Okay, what's next?
Food dyes and crops.
Do it.
If anybody thinks that we did gold standard medicine in this country from these institutions, look at our children. They're the sickest children in the world. Or you say that Congressman DeLauro, you say that you've worked for 20 years on getting food tie out. Give me credit. I got it out in 100 days. All right, so let's work together and do something that we all believe in, which is have healthy kids in our country, for God's sake.
Pause. I was just going to say, I like how he said, hey, I just did something that you've been trying to do. We have the same agenda, same goal. Just because technically I'm a different party, let's work together. Let's don't be enemies just because we have a different party. So I love that attitude.
I agree.
Yeah.
And do something that we all believe in, which is have healthy kids in our country, for God's sake.
Miss
Dean.
Dean.
That together. It's not, there's no such thing as Republican children and Democratic children. There's just kids, and we should all be concerned with them.
Preach it, love it.
In 93, somebody figured out a way that there was certain bacteria that glyphosate would not kill. And they said we could take a gene out of that bacteria.
So glyphosate, pesticide, or not pesticide, that's it's Roundup, isn't it? I mean, so he's saying Roundup. Okay, go.
I will say, and it's in a few of these videos, but I just noticed it on this one, I hate the heartstring pulling music. It makes me want to leave the video and go somewhere else for the same information. Because it's a blatant manipulation tactic, just like the plumber that just fears God and does reasonable prices with plumbing. I don't know anything about them other than they're trying to manipulate me.
So when we add music to like the beginning and end of our podcast, are we manipulating
If
losers?
it's fear-mongering, weird music, and we're talking about our puppy with cancer, then yeah, that is a bad tactic.
What about that discussion we had about doing lyrics and saying them backwards to be subliminal?
We are recording. You should not be talking.
Oh, never mind.
Back to the video.
And put it into a corn seed and develop a corn that cannot be killed by glyphosate. So they developed Roundup Ready corn. And that corn, you could pour glyphosate all over it and it will do nothing to it. So now you could fire all of those workers who were expensive and you hire one airplane and they fly over the fields, they saturate the entire landscape with glyphosate. Everything dies except the Roundup Ready corn. And within a couple of years, Roundup Ready corn was now on 90% of the corn, 95% of the corn in the United States is now Roundup Ready corn.
The video will come back. It's just a weird glitch and I didn't go back and fix it.
I need better tech support.
You can see the
Oh, it's still there. It's doing the best it can.
yeah.
Okay.
Accept it.
All right, let's listen to him.
There was one thing I was gonna say and I forgot. Dang.
So, when they
Oh, I'm all for robots taking the jobs of field workers and whatever. Those are the jobs they should have. And I'm happy for them. I'm looking forward to where we're all on universal income, practicing jujitsu and shaping our bonsai trees, learning Japanese, and having robots do our laundry, as opposed to great news, artist. You don't have to do art anymore. We got that one solved.
I look forward to that episode, and I will rip you a new one. We were created to do work. We can work and enjoy it. I say that in love.
started doing this, there's a direct result? Like you can see the increase in celiac disease? You can see, is this like documented?
No, that's not documented.
I do appreciate him admitting there isn't a scientific study saying what I said was true. I just feel it in my heart, and it's probably true. And we're looking into it now.
Well, right. So I think he's a very honest man. He's not trying to do some weird agenda. He's going way against the grain. So like he said, this was the worst. I mean, he said this was the worst. Did he say business decision or worst career decision? And he means monetarily, because now he's just a government civilian with civilian pay. He probably makes somewhere around maybe $220,000 a year.
And he seems oblivious to how the lobbying department works of how you get paid. So it'd be a better career decision if he would drop this and just take the money to keep forcing through the things that are already part of it.
But he's been an attorney getting a percentage of legal fees against Big Pharma, so he's made lots of money. But this is like a poor. He said it's impacted him financially. But if you look for other clips of RFK at the Senate hearings, for him to get being reviewed to be the Secretary of Health and Human Services, he talks about how Bernie Sanders and other senators have taken millions from Big Pharma, and they're only attacking him because they're the goons for Big Pharma. So anyway, that's a whole nother thing. I didn't want to get sidetracked on that here.
But there's a whole range of diseases that are now, the different levels of science have linked to glyphosate exposure. When we sued Monsanto, the judge needs to make a threshold decision about whether there's sufficient science to show a jury, and that is a very high threshold. So, of all of the diseases that are probably almost certainly caused by glyphosate, the only one to pass that threshold was the case that we bought for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So at that point, we had enough rat studies, enough human studies. We had about 10 of each, and we were able to go to the judge and say, we got enough science on this now to show that it's that non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is being caused by glyphosate.
It's kind of crazy to me. Get something else on the screen so we can. Okay. Oh, you can do that.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Like if I was Amish, I said I didn't forget the Amish this time. If I was Amish and I did all my own gardening and that's how I provided food for my family, I wouldn't say, "Hey, I got this idea where I can put Roundup on all of it, and then we kind of just wash it off a little bit." And then we eat it. That's stupid. Isn't that stupid?
It's an extreme for mass production.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, what's the next video?
60% of Americans' diet comes from these seed oils. These seed oils start with genetically engineered seeds designed to withstand heavy doses of Roundup, glyphosate that's sprayed on them that's linked to cancer. Then they are heated to a point where they cause a lot of byproducts that are harmful to human health. And then they're extracted with a chemical solvent like hexane that can remain in the product. The FDA doesn't actually test to see what residues remain. And then they're deodorized because they smell terrible after all that processing. And then they bleach it with chemicals that you don't have to put on the label of these different seed oils. So you can see how detrimental the processing of these seed oils are, and then what happens when we consume these oils that we aren't supposed to eat. These are industrialized engine lubricants, right?
Wow. Yeah. So I try to avoid all seed oils. So this is your corn oil, your canola oil, your safflower. What else? Grapeseed. All that stuff is garbage. What I replace it with now is butter, just pure butter. You can use that. Avocado oil.
Olive oil.
Olive oil is good.
Coconut
oil. Those are your primary replacements for all those. If you go to a restaurant and they got fried foods, I would try to find a restaurant that uses beef tallow. Yeah. And And I think we've got a video in here. You know, back in the day, I used to eat all this stuff. Why are you saying my kids can't eat this? Because back in the 80s or whenever, when you were a kid, they did it different. Back in, I don't know if it was 80s, it's probably 70s, when McDonald's used to cook their fries in beef tallow. And then all of a sudden they started all this...
corn lobby.
Yeah. They started these seed oils.
Big corn.
And it was cheap. And they just switched everything over and they stamped it heart healthy. It ain't heart healthy.
That's when back in the 90s you saw a lot of fat-free stuff, and like bringing up Doritos again, they had Olestra, and it had like may cause loose stools on the package, and I was a kid, so I remember that plain as day. But they would do a lot of fat-free stuff, and they'd take the fat out and then add different things back in. But one of the main things they add back in is extracts from corn and corn syrup.
Yeah.
And it's basically just a sugar, and it's a highly chemically processed.
Yeah, and you mentioned sugar. Sugar is of the devil, okay? Even if you don't believe in them, still, sugar's of the devil. Better watch out.
I don't believe in the devil, but I do think corn is of him.
Yeah, and high fructose corn syrup, even worse.
That is Satan.
That is, yes, Beelzebub. Next.
Boop.
Fluoride was put in the 1940s. It was essentially a chemical waste that the chemical industry was trying to get rid of. It definitely prevents cavities. But at that time, there was no fluoridated toothpaste, there was no fluoridated mouthwash, and all the science shows that fluoride does not benefit you systemically. In other words, it's the topical exposure of your teeth to fluoride that protects them. Putting it in your body does no good, and it does a tremendous amount of harm. And in August,
We actually talked about this already.
We did. He's doing a great job. I like what he's saying.
the National Toxicity Program, which is part of NIH, did a meta-review of all the literature on the all the published scientific literature on fluoride. And they're the ultimate arbiter of science in this country and of toxicity science. They concluded that there's a precise dose-related response. The more fluoride in your water, the lower your IQ is going to be. Your children's IQ is going to be. And it's a dramatic loss in IQ, half a point in IQ as it goes up. And
I have to pause and say the dose response that has any medical side effect of fluoride is astronomical, and IQ is a fake thing.
It's a fake thing?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
IQs only test a certain type of intelligence, and it's also typically back in the day they were very classist and racist because of things you were exposed to and jargon and stuff. So that's why certain groups were labeled as less IQ, but it's because they weren't exposed to the terminology and the different things based on.
Yeah. Have you seen that little, I guess it's a meme that shows all these different animals? There's like
A goldfish.
a goldfish, a monkey, an elephant,
A stork.
a penguin, a stork, a cheetah, and the teacher says, "Okay, time to your final exam. You have to all climb this tree to pass, and if not, you fail."
Here's like a turtle, like what?
Say, huh? But I totally agree. I think sometimes we think there's a cookie cutter way to evaluate people's value or contribution, and it's just very off kilter and very. We need to start thinking outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Good point.
also causes bone density loss, which particularly impacts women. It calcifies your thyroid, and 1 out of every 8 women in this country now has thyroid issues, much of it having to do with calcification. What we've said is, if you want your kids to have fluoride on their teeth, you can add that at home. There are many options: the mouthwash, toothpaste,
Yeah, what they're not saying there that, or what he didn't emphasize is, what's the alternative? What he's talking about is it being in your drinking water, that being for everything and being consumed, and you consuming a neurotoxin at whatever quantities you drink water. And some people drink a lot, so I don't know. I totally agree. I hope he pulls fluoride out of the drinking water.
I don't think it's much of an issue because of the high percent, like I think it's parts per million is
Okay, let
what
me ask-
fluoride is
Sure.
in, and you have to have like milligrams of it.
Okay, let me ask you this: do you think it's value added?
I think it has been, but I can see where we're at a point now in society. I don't know if it needs to
Right.
continue.
Exactly. That's my point. So should we go through the strains and expense of having it added to water when we have a known concern?
Yeah, I don't know what the process or expenses are, or like
Oh, it's something. I mean, so they're adding it to
Yeah.
the water. So that's a process. You could take that out. It would alleviate all the logistics, the requirement, the transportation, all the mechanical.
it would kill American jobs, Eric. I'm just kidding.
We're not here to make jobs. We're here to make people healthy.
I'm a socialist communist. We shouldn't have jobs.
We just somebody rich should pay for all my stuff.
We can.
All right, we'll talk about it. All right, next.
This is one of our favorite ones. This isn't bread.
I need somebody to explain to me why I can eat bread in Spain and in Greece, Italy, no problem. Why I was gluten free in 15 years. I've been gluten free in Canada, America. Can't eat it.
That's because in America, what we call bread can't even be considered food in parts of Europe. See, here in America, it's not so much the gluten as what we've done to the grain. About 200 years ago, we started stripping the bran and germ, or the fiber and nutrients, to make flour shelf stable, also nutritionally dead. Because the nutrients were gone, we enriched it with folic acid, which a large majority of the population can't even metabolize. Therefore, many people experience fatigue, anxiety, hyperactivity, and inflammation. But then the bread wasn't white enough, so they bleached it with chlorine gas. The bread didn't rise enough, so they added a carcinogen called potassium bromate, which is banned in several countries like Europe, the UK, and even China. Then we wanted to ramp up production, so we started using glyphosate to dry out the wheat before harvest, causing endocrine disruption and damaging your gut. So now you're bloated, brain fogged, tired, and blame gluten, but gluten is just the scapegoat. The real issue is ultra-processed, chemically altered, bleached, bromated, fake vitamin-filled wheat soaked in glyphosate. This isn't bread. This is.
I need somebody to explain.
So
Wow. Go.
I just want to say from the top, I haven't fact checked that, but it's so specific. It makes me think he's had to look up the sources for that, and the word choice is so specific. But in general, I would fact check it and go through and see stuff. But the little bit that I already have known as information, I completely agree with.
Yeah, there's so many people I've talked to that's gone to Europe. They've gone to Italy. They talk about, I was there for 10 days. I ate pasta every day. I drank red wine every day. And I came home and I lost 2 pounds. And we're like, what? If you ate pasta twice in the last 10 days here in America, you would balloon and swell up and be in a coma. I exaggerate just a little bit, but not much.
I was going to say, that's my default setting. I love pasta. My
So,
shirt, Sweet Dreams, are made of cheese.
Oh, true. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So,
My health shirt.
I hope he does something to change how we manufacture, produce bread.
You want to know something about that?
No, I don't. Of course, that's what we're talking about. What?
If you took capitalism out of the equation and then you were just making food for sustaining your society, then it wouldn't matter how expensive or how costly it was. Everyone would just have a living wage based on the universal basic income. And then we would have healthier food because you wouldn't have to make it as cheap and something as possible for the CEO to make the big golden parachute money.
You know, you're probably right, because that's why socialism has worked so well in so many other countries.
Socialism works. It's the humans that mess it up.
Yeah. I mean, it works so well that people actually get on riff-raff garbage and traverse over oceans and dangerous waters to come to our country. So maybe you're right.
We have a better quality of life. But
we'll have that episode. We'll talk about socialism, communism, capitalism.
Try to convert me, Eric.
No, I'm going to try to listen to you.
Aww.
And respect you and learn something about socialism.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's what I do.
All right, more bread.
You actually lose weight eating pasta and bread in Europe, but
That's
eating
what I'm
a bowl of
saying.
pasta and a basket of bread here, and you just feel like you want to go to sleep and you're in a bad mood. But then you go to Italy and you have a fat bowl of pasta and maybe even a glass of wine. You feel amazing. Why is that? Well, because in 1993, the chemical industry convinced the federal government that we needed to spray our entire grain supply with folic acid, all flour, all bread, all pasta, all cereal. Although we don't call it sprayed with folic acid, we call it enriched. So enriched foods are foods that are sprayed with folic acid. Folic acid is a man-made chemical that we make in a laboratory. You cannot find it anywhere on the surface of the earth. It does not exist naturally.
You're not going crazy. There's a glitch with the video.
I didn't notice that.
You may be crazy, but you're not going crazy.
Not from this.
Yeah, exactly.
Correlation, not causation.
In Mother Nature. It doesn't sound like a big deal until you realize it's the most prevalent nutrient in the human diet. I'm not saying don't eat grains or rice or pasta or cereals or bread. I'm saying eat the non-enriched versions of those, the organic versions of those.
Pause. It's everything we just said. Well, I don't think there's anything new, but it hypes me up, and I want to go.
Do not tackle me.
I want to pull a loaf of bread off the aisle and throw it on the ground and say, bad bread. Will that help?
Yeah, I think it will.
I don't think
You
it'll
have to pay
help.
for it, though, but then you're just supporting big bread.
I'll feel better. You're saying I have to buy it?
Yeah, don't damage people's groceries at the grocery store.
Okay.
The minimum wage worker that's a cashier does not get paid enough to deal with you.
Next video.
Are you coming to the street?
I hate the music.
You're high maintenance.
I'm very high maintenance. I have a very high, which you say I'm good at psychology. I have a very high BS detector. And I think that's one of the reasons I was very hard to date in high school and in general, I guess.
I wouldn't know. I didn't try to date you. You're
Again,
my sister.
Siblings. No, but especially typical like ploys to try to manipulate you into like, hey, you know, beautiful, blah, blah, blah. It falls on deaf ears, and I'm like, why are you talking to me like that? Like, I need very direct, very non-manipulative conversation. It's my spectrum that's showing.
It sounds like you were traumatized at an early age by manipulation, and you've committed to not be burned by that again. Mm-hmm. So I hope you recover soon.
No. Riding this to the ground.
They strung up a man.
Pause.
They say
So as you can see here,
You can't see the details, but
you can't. Yeah,
you get it.
You probably can't read it, but the whole point is back then in the 80s or whenever he's saying it is, or the original version. It's a limited amount of content about ingredients, whereas now it's just a stack of preservatives, pesticides, chemicals that's not real food, and it has a toxic load, and it's just adding up and it's making you sick. That's the whole point. Go.
strange things that happen to you.
So the whole point of this thing is, well, like we said a while ago, I think, hey, I used to eat this all the time as a kid. It wasn't a problem. Why can't my kids have it? This is why. It's not the same thing. They're different. They're manufacturing, they're producing food different now. Mm-hmm. Play. Okay. Next.
I would love it if somebody would debate me on the subject of vaccines. And since it's seems to be a great interest of yours, I challenge you to debate me on it. And I'm going to tell you just what my position is. And my position is not anti-science. People don't know my position because people call me an anti-vaxxer, but I'm not. I'm pro-vaccine. I had all my children vaccinated. I believe the vaccine should be tested, safety tested. People don't know. You cannot sue a company that makes vaccines that injures you, no matter how.
To my knowledge, you can.
I think he's right. Oh, well, I think sometime they changed the law. I actually listened to a 3-hour podcast on RFK with Joe Rogan. And man, his history with all this is impressive. But that's what the big pharma essentially went to Congress and said, listen, it is hard to make a prescription. It's hard to make vaccines. If you want vaccines, we need to be shielded. We can't put this much money just for all these people to sue us. We can't. It's not financially viable. We can't do it. So they put up a shield where you can't sue them. So you can fact check it right now, or we can keep going, whatever you want.
1 moment now.
What'd you find out?
I found out that you have to go through, you can sue, but you have to go through basically a government compensation program due to federal law. That way the vaccine companies aren't affected directly, and the government would compensate you if there is proven to be false or negative harm.
So they're shielded.
But the government eats the bullet.
Right, which, so what he's saying is still correct, and then it doesn't incentivize them. They are shielded. They're shielded from any punitive measure of negligence or oversight, or so the whole point of suing somebody is to say, hey, you better have this to a standard that's high and not damaging to your customers.
I do think, though, that the United States government being the customer, they would still be held liable if they were doing things that were blatantly against policy and, business practice.
You would think that, but here's the deal. What's happening? So let's take a deep breath. What's happening? Why was this done? Who said you could do this? It's Congress. So who is Congress? It's a bunch of senators, and I don't know if it's people in the House of Representatives, but it's definitely at the Senate level, and they're just like, you know what? We'll allow that to happen. Why are they saying that? Because lobbyists are coming in and they're padding their checking account. It's horrible. So we will shield you from that.
Lobbying should be illegal.
It should. Why is that happening?
Because the people who make it illegal get paid to say it's not illegal no more.
Let's fix it.
We agree on that.
All right.
How egregious the injury is, no matter how negligent that company was, no matter how toxic the ingredient. Furthermore, they're completely insulated, so there's no incentive for them to make vaccines safe.
That's what I just said.
Furthermore, they're also exempt. They're the only medicine that's exempt from safety testing. That means nobody.
I don't know about that either. I'm pretty sure they get safety tested. Like, their vaccines themselves get tested tons.
Well, so he
means something specific.
When he says safety testing, that's a loaded term that means something. I don't know exactly what it means, but he knows it's a robust. It means something.
Okay.
Hit pause. Let's look it up.
All right. What'd you get?
So it says vaccines are not safety tested using randomized placebo.
Pause. It says RFK Jr. argues that vaccines are not safety tested.
Oh.
Skipped a line.
Oh, okay, yeah. RFK Jr. argues that vaccines are not safety tested using randomized placebo-controlled trials the same way many drugs are. His claim is that because many childhood vaccines are approved decades ago under older testing frameworks, they did not use modern, long-term placebo-controlled designs that new pharmaceuticals often use.
He believes systems like VAERS, vaccine adverse event reporting systems, are not robust enough.
I don't know, there's a bunch of stuff here. I don't know if I want to read all this. Let's go to the bottom. Let's go to the
Well, I was
bottom
going to say,
line.
here's a list where it goes through all the different testing and stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to read all that. Let's go to the bottom line. Bottom line. RFK Jr. is not saying that no safety testing happens. He is saying that he believes the type of safety testing is insufficient, particularly the lack of long-term placebo-controlled trials for older vaccines. The claim is not accurate. That's what ChatGPT says. The claim is not accurate, but it has a specific meaning in his rhetoric. I don't even know what that means.
They're saying his, I guess, conflict with how they're tested isn't based in fact and or isn't founded.
Yeah.
So that's what ChatGPT said. Hope someone didn't need that water we just used.
Go.
What the risk profile is, and nobody can say with a scientific certainty if that vaccine is averting more problems than it causes. And I don't think that we ought to be
It 100% is averting more problems, because even if it does do some small percentage, very molecular issue for certain people, we don't have a lot of stuff that we used to have that put people in iron lungs and all that jazz.
Yeah, I've heard different stuff on that. I've heard, I think you got to know what damage is it causing, and I don't think we have done the right rigor to see what is this causing. And I've seen different videos that show different concerns that it actually perpetuates different ailments rather than the risk is not worth the value of the product. So.
And maybe for some vaccines that could be argued, but I would say in general for like mumps and measles and tuberculosis, like all the ones that were killing people and like taking out swaths of people.
Yeah.
Having a few people with an exacerbated heart problem.
Yeah.
When we don't have people dying or going in iron lungs or,
Yeah. Well, we talked about, modern day application like fluoride. Is fluoride really needed in our drinking water? What's the value added? Is the juice worth the squeeze? If you look at how vaccines were incorporated back in a day where you didn't have mass distribution of food, some people were truly starving.
Yeah.
They were truly negligent of appropriate nutrition to be healthy. There was a lot of exposure to different diseases because you didn't have the oral hygiene. People didn't wash their hands. There's, people are coughing in each other's faces. But now the way people are, they have housing, they have showers, they can wash their hands.
Most people.
All the things, you put things together. The need for all those is if people are taking, have the right vitamins, nutrition, exposure to sun, to all the things, maybe you may not even need all those vaccines like you used to. That's my theory. I think the way God made us without people injecting you with needles in general is pretty sufficient.
Agree to disagree.
Okay.
mandating medical interventions for unwilling Americans unless we know precisely that vaccine is going to end up helping people rather than hurting them. Look at the vaccine inserts. all the 400 diseases that are now epidemic in our children.
I wonder what those 400 diseases are.
I don't know. I don't want to read it. I don't want to read a list of 400 things right now.
Oh no, it's something I might Google in the middle of the night.
There's no medication that reverses diabetes.
Yeah, this is Dr. Casey Means is who this is. She is Trump's selection for the new Surgeon General in his administration. She wrote an excellent book called Good Energy. I listened to the audiobook on Spotify, and it covers everything that we've covered here today and more, and it is so good. So she's a smart lady, and she's got a testimony of why she's so pro MAHA with her mother getting cancer, and then how they treated her mother before she passed. And that, because she was I guess some kind of surgeon. I forget what she was, and she was told, hey, if they walk in this door, you either cut them or you give them a prescription. And there was no concern. It was about money, and she just did not like the system. She dreamed of helping people from an early age. That's why she went through the rigor of all the schooling to get a doctorate degree, and just was very displeased with the system. And now she's doing what she's doing now. So let's see what she says.
There's no medication that reverses heart disease. There's no medication that reverses Alzheimer's dementia. There's no medication that actually generates health. Only diet and lifestyle strategies generate health. And so that should obviously be the foundation of our medical system, but unfortunately we're not very well trained as physicians to know that information or to coach on it.
I will say, I think the definition of medicine is something to combat a negative side effect.
What do you mean?
Like, I think medicine in general is a side effect suppressor, whereas to cure something would be to treat it. It would be a treatment. But medicine in general is a Band-Aid. It's not.
Huh. That's an interesting perspective. I think that's probably applicable in our modern day culture, but I don't like it. I think
I agree.
We've grown to learn of it that way, just because it's twisted. But that's my beef with pharmaceuticals is they don't address root cause. They don't heal you. They hide the symptom that you don't like, which is equivalent to me being in my truck and the check engine light comes on and I just don't like that warning light. So what I do is I get a black strip of electrical tape and cover it up and think that does something. It keeps me from having the annoying light, but the damage of whatever's going on wrong mechanically inside that engine is still ongoing. Well, that's what we got to realize is still happening to us with chronic ailments that we just mask with prescriptions. I think to me, my health improved when I said, I got out of the rat race of going to the doctor and just going, well, you're the god of medicine. You're the god of my health. What did you say? I should do this. You told me to eat right. I don't even know what that means. So I'm not going to do it. What else? Take this prescription? Okay. And my health never improved. It improved when I said, you know what? I'm the owner of this avatar. I'm the owner of this body. I'm going to take care of this body. I'm responsible. So now that's where I started studying into diet, nutrition, exercise, and man, it's just been a whole new ball game, and I feel 1,000 times better than I have in years. So
yeah, I definitely agree. Health and lifestyle is something that's not focused on in America.
Yeah.
And it needs to be, and we need a healthcare system that isn't for profit.
Yeah, but so one, definitely need that. We definitely need this revamp. MAHA, we need Casey Means revamping how hospitals and work. We need RFK Jr. fixing everything with the CDC and FDA and HHS. But don't wait on them to fix it. Be the change you want to see. Take ownership of your body.
That's fair. Everyone gets their own life.
Yeah. And I'll say this from a Christian perspective. It says in God's word, it says, do you not know that you are a temple of the Holy Spirit and you have been bought with a price? Therefore, glorify God in your body. To be a good steward of your body. Take care of it. What's the next video?
I found out Big Pharma actually is paying.
So this is Dr. Eric Berg. If you're not familiar with him, you've been hiding under a rock. This joker has big YouTube followings. He's a social media influencer. He is so smart with the human body, knows everything. He doesn't know everything, but he knows a lot. But listen to this accusation he makes about Big Pharma. Hit it.
Influencers up to $1,000 a post. $1,000 a post. So you can imagine what's happening right now with the, against MAHA and RFK. I found out.
So the point, make us big. The whole point on that I wanted to add is we live in a day and age where you could make up whatever you want to believe, and there's 10 doctors who will support it. Mm-hmm. If you think, well, I cure my arthritis by eating 10 purple elephants. Yeah, there's 17 studies that support that. But what's interesting is he's saying Big Pharma is paying that much money to social media influencers to antagonize or to demean the MAHA movement and to discredit it. So be careful. Filter the information that you're getting. Use your own judgment.
Don't filter, examine.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of what I mean.
Yeah.
Examine it, and then if you see, hey, they're manipulating music. They obviously are of the devil.
Yeah.
Then filter it out.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Skip those videos.
Yeah. So, definitely don't listen to any videos with music.
Don't listen to music. It's from Satan.
All right.
That's why we have to fire people at CDC. This morning, I got the latest numbers from CDC.
So, some criticism that RFK Jr. has received upon being the Secretary of Health and Human Services is he has fired a lot of people. And here's him talking about it a little bit, essentially saying they failed us. But if you have a lot of corrupt employees who are getting paid off in your system and they're not helping the MAHA movement, but they're wanting to keep some of the legacy agreements that were established in place, what else are you going to do? You got to clean house.
I have a different take.
Okay.
I don't know, because I don't know the steps that were done to find out who was doing what. But the thing is, the main issue for me is it's not illegal what anyone's doing. It's a feature, not a bug. People get paid, and people get paid to look the other way. People get paid to make it legal. And what he should do is change the laws to where people inside the CDC can't take money to do certain studies or to hide certain studies. Because that's right now, people will pay their own groups of scientists and say, I'm paying you to do a study. I need you to get X result. And if you don't get X result, I'm never going to publish the study. And I'm going to sign an NDA to where I own this study. So businesses will pay and corrupt their own studies to get studies that say what they want it to say. Whereas we should take that out of the option.
So I hereby offer you an olive branch. I totally agree. That is just a corrupt system. A huge conflict of interest that is detriment to our whole nation.
And an olive branch to you, you think that book you like says money's the root of all evil. Got to get it out of the system.
Well, technically scripture says the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. So, but yes, same
that
general
interpretation.
concept. Yes. Okay, let's see what he says.
At 76.4% of Americans now have a chronic disease. This is stunning. My uncle was president was 11%, 1950 was 3%. Today it's 76.4%. 8 out of 10 of our kids cannot qualify for military service. This is a national security issue. When my uncle was president, we spent zero on chronic disease. Today we spend $1.3 trillion. It's the biggest cause that's increasing, and all of the arguments that Republicans and Democrats have about single payer, Obamacare, or the various ways of allocating the health dollars, they're all like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. If we don't end this chronic disease, we are the sickest country in the world. That's why we have to fire people at CDC. They did not do their job. This was their job to keep us healthy. And I need to fire some of those people to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Dang, said it. Oh my gosh.
I don't know that he should have fired him. I think he should have made it illegal to do what was happening and then keep tabs on everybody. Because people who have been in there for a long time, no one gets into science and biology and because they want to be corrupt and they get into it because it's a passion of theirs, it's a talent of theirs. They have a knack for it. They can, and they work their way into it that way.
Yeah.
That's not the get rich quick. Some people get into doctors for get rich quick, but even then,
yeah,
it's not that quick.
But so we don't know the behind the scenes. He's talking about firing numerous people in a very generic category.
I'd rather the law for no corruption be legal happen first, and then fire people who break it.
Copy.
Because they also have history and expertise in the area.
Yeah, I would say, he's just put in this position. He's only going to be in that position for 4 years under the current president, unless the next president keeps him. So you got to take action fast while you have the opportunity. And if people are being resistant and they're corrupt, and they're corrupt, then you got to clean house. So that's a lot. I'm overwhelmed, but I'm excited about what he's doing. I wish him success. I hope people benefit from all these changes that are underway. But regardless of those changes, I'm going to take ownership of what I'm doing, and I'm going to try to make good, healthy decisions regardless of what happens out there in America.
I agree. I think everyone has to be the best steward of their own life and don't take anything at face value. Always look into information, find out where people got their information, what they're benefiting from it, and just kind of see where things come from and if there's an agenda behind it. And the more times you do that and then kind of get an idea of who's saying what and why, it'll let you know kind of where the truth is, which is usually somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. All right. That was interesting. It's fun.
I think we listened and we learned and we're better for it, Eric.
I agree. So people are more important than politics, my friends. Let's act like it.